Let's cover the entire economics book on one page here. We'll start off with the circular flow of income, because if you understand that, you understand everything. On one side of circular flow, we have businesses. And on the other side, we have households. We also call them people. So that's people like you and ourselves. Businesses, people. Businesses provide labor. In return for the labor, they get wages, money. What are the people doing in these businesses? They're producing products and services. What do they do with the products and services? Sell it to people. So that's goods. What do they get in return? Expenditure. Who's the other main player? Government. What does government do? Government is like the parent. It's making sure that the children behave. They don't take advantage of each other. Other main players are your banks and your trade. Foreign trade. So banks and your foreign trade. Imagine this is your main economy. Really, truly, the entire page is your economy, but for the purpose of simplicity, we will call this your economy. So I'll put a dotted line around it. That's not really a dot. Anyway, so money's going to people and people are spending money back in businesses. Perfect. We want money to be floating around. When money leaves the system, we call it a leakage. When money comes into a system, we call it an injection. System being this circle here. So taxes are a leakage. The government then spends that money back into the system. Injection, government spending. Money comes in, goes into banks, leakage, savings. Goes back into the system in the form of investments, injection. Money leaves the system when we buy imports from other countries. When we buy imports, money leaves our country, goes to other countries. So we lose money. Hence it's a leakage. Imports are a leakage. But when we sell our goods, we get money. So in the UK, when we make Jaguar Land Rover cars, we sell them to Europe. Europe gives us money. That is injection into our economy. So exports are good. Government has 4 macroeconomic objectives. What are they? Government wants to increase GDP. GDP is also known as aggregate demand. Government also wants to increase employment. Where's employment relevant here? The whole picture? Here. Government wants to keep inflation at a certain level. In the UK, we've got a target of 2%. Where is inflation relevant in the picture here? Here, when businesses are selling goods and services, they want to keep that inflation at 2%. And the last one is balance of payments, also known as international trade. Where is it relevant here? Bottom here. Imports and exports, we want to keep it in balance. Government then has lots of levers it can play around with to stimulate economy or to control the economy, contract the economy. And what are those levers? They're called demand side policies and supply side policies. Let's talk about demand side policies. What are they? The first one is your fiscal policy. What's fiscal policy? That's relevant here. Taxes and government spending. The next policy is called monetary policy. In the UK, our monetary policy is controlled by Bank of England. Monetary policy is your interest rates, as well as supply of money, which is quantitative easing. Where is that relevant here? Interest rates will, well, let me actually write this out first and make more sense. So GDP or AD, how do we calculate that? Consumption. What is consumption relevant here? Consumption of goods and services. So consumption by people of goods and services. C plus I. What's I? Investment. Investments from who? Businesses. So C plus I plus G. What's G? Government spending. plus exports minus imports. Where is that coming from? Exports, imports. So coming back to interest rates, how's that relevant? I was talking about interest rates will increase or decrease your consumption, and when they do so, they will naturally impact your GDP or aggregate demand. And interest rates would also impact investments from businesses, because as interest rates go up, we know what happens. They will invest less. So that's demand side policies covered. And the other policies are your supply side. Where do I write that? Supply side, as the name implies, is trying to control the supply of goods and services. Where is that relevant here? Here. And then we've got trade tariffs. Where are they relevant? Trade tariffs are relevant here. Foreign exchange rate is relevant here. Imports and exports, as well as all your protectionist policies, etc., are relevant. Globalization is relevant here. Privatization, regulation, who's in charge of all of that? Government is. The government can privatize its businesses that it's running. So in the UK, government used to run the post office, BT, the telephone company, utility companies, your gas, electricity, water company. It's privatized all those industries. Who has it given it to? Businesses. It's privatized. So the good used to be provided by the government. When something is provided by the government, it's called a public good. When a good is provided by the private sector, it's called a private good. So public-private becomes relevant here, and I've covered privatization. Nationalization is when government buys businesses from the private sector and makes it into a public good. So that's nationalization. Privatization is the other way around. Demerit goods are relevant here. Where are they? Goods and services. So merit goods being provided, well, government will also provide merit and demerit goods. For example, education, healthcare in the form of government spending, infrastructure. Market failure is relevant here too. What do we mean by market failure? When the market isn't operating efficiently. Where is that relevant? When the goods and services are not being supplied properly. Usually it's by the private sector. It's rare the government fails, but the government does fail too. When it does so, then the market failure would be called government market failure. Externalities are relevant here as well. So externalities are relevant here, goods and services section. And government can then put controls in place. So for example, they can put licenses in place or tariffs in place so that businesses are not polluting the water, air. So externalities and government have a link here. And that's essentially it. We've covered. One thing we haven't covered is microeconomics. So market structures, so that's your monopoly, oligopolies, perfect competition, they're relevant in this part of the picture here. As well as all your cost curves, so average cost, economies of scale, that's all inside the factory. Imagine this is your factory and these are your machines. So fixed cost, variable cost, all of that, returns to scale, that's all relevant in this part of the picture here. And that's it. That's essentially your entire economics book on one page.